about it a little bit. This is a 53 Studebaker Champion Lowey coupe. I found it on the internet, decided I want to do another electric car. I did first one was a 1996 Volkswagen Golf that I converted to electric back in 2008. And I was looking for a hot rod because my nephew has a hot rod and I figured we could go to shows together. So I found this on Hemming's website. The guy was asking a pretty good price for it, and I talked to him on the phone, and he was willing to take out everything that's engine related, gas related on the car for me. So I thought that would be a good idea to go with.
Let me show you the way to get to the next picture.
Yeah, how do I get to the next
arrow thing here?
So did he charge you more or less with the car stripped down?
Less. Yeah, he knocked off about 5,000.
So you figured he could sell the engine and stuff somewhere else?
I saw the arrow earlier.
I'm sorry?
He figured he could sell the engine and transmission and all
Oh,
that?
he already sold that, yeah.
Good.
Matter of fact, he sold the engine to his nephew, and I brought the transmission back to the guy that I bought a transmission for the car from.
Where's the arrow thing? I saw an arrow here earlier.
No, should be. Well, what can you just go?
Well, I guess we can go back here.
Let's go here. No, that just. Oops, what did that do?
All right. Is this the next one?
Yeah. Oh, well, you just go down the bottom.
And
So-
sharing that on Zoom.
There you go. That's where you go. Okay.
We were a minute ago.
Now we're seeing your screen.
Okay. So this is what he had in the car originally. It was a 350 Chevy with a 350 turbo automatic. And I persuaded him to remove all that stuff, the radiator, and mufflers and stuff, a gas tank. So basically saved me a lot of time and effort by doing that. I could have bought the car by itself altogether, but I didn't, I figure if I could get a little less money, have him do the work for me, that'd be great. So we towed the car, went up to Oregon, picked up the car, and let's see. And this is what it looked like when he was done. He took everything out. Apparently what happened.
You're not sharing your screen on Zoom at this point. We just have your video. Yeah, you might try sharing again.
I don't think the computer's sharing out that content.
Okay, hang on a second. How do we get back on Zoom?
Well, you're still on Zoom. You just have.
Well, I know, but
share
get the
screen.
pictures on Zoom.
Yeah.
Share screen.
Yeah, click on that arrow there.
This one?
Yeah, click on that.
There we
Now
go.
click
This one,
on
right?
Picture, yep, there you go. Now you got it. Right. Thank you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
perfect. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. So anyway, this is where we are. So he took out, what I noticed when I finally got the car home is that he had changed the firewall on it. Generally, a Studebaker would have had a different firewall on it, but he put a flat one on there, which was great for me because it gave me ample room to install things on the firewall that I needed. He also, the reason I got the car is because it was not a numbers matching Studebaker. He had changed it to a hot rod. He had put a Ford Falcon rear end on it and also put a Mustang 2 front end suspension with disc brakes and rack and pinion. So I didn't feel bad about doing what I was doing. If it had been a numbers matching car, which I had seen, I would not have done it.
What does number match?
That the engine matches the body, that if you went to the build on the car, all those numbers would match.
Okay.
So when they have a serial number on the engine, serial number of transmission, and if they all match, which I have seen some that were that way, that were for sale.
A true restoration of a Studebaker.
Yeah, but when I found this one, this has been a hot rod. He's been, modified, extensively modified. So basically it's just a body on a chassis.
Okay.
So where are we at now?
But it looks like structurally this thing is in great shape, right? No corrosion, no
Yeah.
rust.
Yeah, the car is, it was a 30-year-old hot rod. His brother did the car 30 years ago. That's a 30-year-old paint job on the car if you, with the flames and stuff. So let's see if I go back to here. Let's see, can I go back a little further? Yeah, if you, where's
When you looked at the car before you took the engine out.
so anyway, the whole car was done 30 years ago. And
And that looks
Basically-
great also.
yeah, it's a good paint job. It's got some, road rash and stuff like that, a few spots. No, I only found one area where there's a little bit of cancer on one of the passengers' door, only because the weep holes in the doors were plugged up with a piece of 2x4
No.
and stuff. So there was a little bit of cancer there, but not too bad. I took care of that.
What was the engine that he had in it for the hot rod?
He had a 350 Chevy with a 350 turbo automatic.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. But when I took it apart, I ended up having to replace motor mounts because they were all torn out. And there were a lot of stuff that I would not known about until I got the motor out of there. So anyway, let's see. So here's where I start working on the car. One of the first things I like to do is put in a separate fuse block for just the electrics for the car, for the controller and stuff, and anything that's going to run on the car. And off to the right, you can see that's a fuse block. The guy, what they did too, is he converted the car from a 6-volt system to a 12-volt system for me. So that was really nice of him too. So here we are starting with some of the, I got the first fuse block in there for just electrics and a relay. I'm not sure what that's for, but let's see. Then we go to here. This is my DC to DC converter for the battery that's going to be placed in the little battery box over there. Also, it has air conditioning. He left that in there for me. It's apparently what happens in 53 Studebaker had the option of a heater. So in 53, you can either have a heater in the car or not. What he did is he put in a under the dash heater / air conditioner. And so if you see those up in the right there, those two black rubber connections, those are for the heater hose. And the other ones to the left were for the air conditioner. So also what I did on this car was I took some ceramic heaters that I found on the internet and they actually was able to install them into the heater box. So this is where the gas cap would have been. So I kind of installed a plug. So for the J1772 plug and hooked that up, ran that over to the BMS and over to actually the pilot. The two wires for the pilot went to the BMS and the other one went to the charger. Let's see. Okay, so now you can see over here, off to the left is the charger on the wall, firewall. And I started marking off with blue tape areas where I wanted to put stuff, just to kind of give it an idea of where things were going to go and how much room I had to play with.
How big is the charger?
It's a 3 kilowatt. It's 110/240 charger. I run it on 240. So it's a 3 kilowatt pack, 3 kilowatt charger. The battery pack is a 320 amp hour, 144 volt pack. So there's 40 cells, 320 amp hour cells in the back. So this is the center console in the car, and I was able to install the switch that selects between reverse and forward on the center console, and then run the wires over to it later. So this is my huge trunk that the car came with, and there's a couple, what I had to do, the reason I got the car, when I went looking at the car, I took measurements first to see if the battery pack would fit in there, because I knew what on the Golf what the battery pack size were, and and then I the battery I was looking at, I got the dimensions and figured out, okay, I need something about 30 by 30. And so that's what so when I took the measurements of that, and then also it had to, I could sink the battery pack down, but it had to be up high enough to where the differential was the lowest thing in the car. So that was another little challenge. Okay, so now here, this is the throttle for the car. And basically I used the existing throttle cable from the pedals and made a little bracket, mounted that up to the wall. That's actually a potentiometer type thing. So the Golf uses ohms, so it's a 0 to 5K ohms. This one uses 0 to 5 volts. So it's a slightly different one. This is also the motor, and this is AC. And so here we are. Hello. So anyway, this is the main contactor that was installed. And then I got a 400 amp fuse, and then a pre-charge of 8 amps for the. So how do I go to the next? Oh,
There you go.
okay. Oops. Oh, okay. Doesn't seem to. Okay, so this is making the battery box. And so what I did is I got some sheet steel and kind of tack welded it together and got kind of an idea how big it's going to be. So
Yeah, you can just click back on your previous picture there, a second at the end.
pardon me?
You can go back to your picture you had for your 800 amp, right there.
That one?
So it's further back, okay,
Yeah, so that's
you're right.
yeah, so this is the main, like I said, the main contactor is for the battery pack. And there's also a brake, what they call a maintenance switch on the back behind the back seat. I don't know if I had that in here or not. I might. Okay, let's see. Can I go this way? Oh yeah, okay. Okay, so here we are. I'll just do this. This is the battery box, fine to put together. And so now I got to cut the hole. And of course, if you see at the bottom there, that first kind of a silver line, that was my scoop, my goof. When I first started cutting it, then I realized once I started cutting it with my Cirkit, with my saw, that there was a piece of metal under there, a part of the frame. And I got, so I had to move it forward, which meant I had to cut a little bit more in the front. And so I finally got it all done. So now we got the battery mounted. The 4 holes at the top for the cables, for the power cables that come in, and for the BMS. There's going to be a slope up there, so that's where the BMS is going to be. Well, they call it a BMSS. So it's a battery management system satellite. This is a Thunderstruck unit. And then the 2 holes in the bottom are for the heating pads. So I found out the hard way that you need to keep the batteries nice and warm in cold weather, or you don't get the range you think you're going to get. So now I do that. So both cars have battery mats in them. And now you can see how far down, how low the battery pack, or the battery is on the car. So it's still not as bad, but I would like it to be a little bit higher up, but I didn't want to take all my trunk space, I think I brought it up about 2 inches. So actually these batteries are not as tall as the sino polys I have in the Golf. So these are only like 10 inches tall. So basically about 8 inches is sticking underneath the car. So here are the batteries installed and connected to the BMS. Those are the BMS SS. So those are the battery management system satellites, the 2 of them. And then you see the wires that are run to all the cells are in series. And then I ran all the wiring, and then I just have to plug them into the satellites. What I found out later is that the satellite actually take voltage from the batteries to operate them. So, but they just draw a small amount of electricity. And generally, so there's like a CAN bus, not a CAN bus, but a twisted pair bus that talks to the master control unit. So here we are. I got the BMSs are hooked up. The twisted pair of wires going into the back seat where the master control unit is at. I made a little cover that's hinged over there by the battery management system, and so you can open it up and close it. And so, as opposed to the Golf is set up that we have to take 4 screws out and pull the whole thing out. You know, I want to make this one a little different, make it a little easier to work on. So one of the first things I had to do was to program the master control unit. And one of the things it has on this is that it gives you the option of using the fuel gauge as a state of charge gauge. So not only does it show you like a bar on the display, how many kilowatts you have left, but you can also use your fuel gauge that came with the car to give you kind of the same idea, you know. So here I am in my office programming the thing, trying to get it set up. Pardon me?
Clean dust.
Yeah. I eventually had to buy a laptop from Jerry because all of a sudden, once I got done with this, everything else required me to do it in the car. And I didn't have a laptop. But what was really kind of neat is that the laptop I bought from you also had a Wi-Fi. So I was able to, and I have a router with a Wi-Fi on it. So I was able to hook it up that way and talk to it. So actually when they had problems with the the controller, they were actually able to make the connection and talk to the controller and troubleshoot it for me. So this is the master control unit, and that is the rear they call armrest in the car. So I made a little plate that went across it, and I kind of ran all my wires over to it. And so they're off to the, let's see, is that the front? Let's see. Yeah, that's the front. So this way, what to the left is actually the shutoff switch. So the main circuit, and then also there's a current sensor in there that the wire has to go through. I guess that's the Coulomb counter, I think they call it. Yeah. So that's how they do the charging. Here I put the battery in. The guy took the battery away from me, so I had to buy a new battery. And also I hooked up the DC to DC to it. Up to the top there is that would be the relay for the heater to turn the heater on. So what I have now is he had left like a pull switch that he did he had one for like the headlights, so he pulled it a couple times, and then he had another one that he pulled on that he used to turn the electric fan on the radiator. So I decided to use that switch to turn on the heater. And then after I went and ordered a new air conditioner, I found one online in China that runs on between 100 to 150 volts DC. So it needs a contactor and a few other parts, and also the control voltage is 12 volts, which would be the wire that would go into the clutch on the air conditioner, all from the air conditioning itself. That wire can use to turn on the compressor, and then when the thermostat on the AC goes off and on, it turns the compressor off and on. So I thought, okay, so that'll work out okay. So anyway, so I've got the relay hooked up. Let's see. Okay, so this is the display, and as you can see, it tells you doesn't give you a lot of information. I like the one that Richard Hatfield gave me sold me for the Golf, but this one basically gives you state of the battery and how many kilowatts you have left over, the voltage of the pack, how many amps you're drawing, and then basically gives you the average of the voltage per cell, average of the cells. I wish it had more information, you know, One thing I did hook up, which I'm glad I did, was a buzzer. So that if any of the cells get below 2.8 volts, buzzer on the dash comes off and reminds me, so I have to take my foot off the throttle, so. Which, so that happened to me a couple of times when I was, I think you were with us when you were trying to get it on the freeway. So here we are. So yeah, there's the gauge. One of the more important things you gotta have is a vacuum gauge. Because if you don't have vacuum, you don't have brakes. So I added that. And then I had the original vacuum pump I had for the car needed to be rebuilt. And then the problem was because of COVID and supply chain issues, I couldn't get a diaphragm from it to replace the diaphragm on the compressor. And I couldn't buy the compressor because of the same issues. So I went online and I bought a different type of vacuum pump for the car. So, this is, okay. What's it? Oh. Where am I going? Am I going backwards? Oh, okay, here we go. So anyway, I decided that I wanted to cover everything up, so protect it. So I added some little bit of pieces of wood and stuff to kind of be able to put like some wood up there and then put the carpeting back on. So I made a little shelf in the back. And I have to be able to take that off every now and then, because if I have to do work on the battery pack, I have to disconnect the BMS. So they say so. So there, well, you kind of see it. It's got some of the carpet back in place, but I hadn't cut it all yet. So there's the vacuum pump that I bought for the car. Found that online. It's a rotary vacuum pump. And it's got a built-in check valve and also a built-in adjustment sensor for the vacuum. So it gets up to a certain vacuum and shuts itself off. And basically all you really do is you gave it 12 volts, and that where that little red connector is, you hooked up the vacuum hose to it, to the booster. And what I also did, I put a T in there and I ran it to the vacuum gauge on the dash.
What's the vacuum used for?
Vacuum is used for the brakes
Ah,
on the
okay.
booster. It's got power brakes, and without that, you don't drive the car.
Okay, got it.
So anyway, here's the electric motor. It's a net gain Hyper 9 HV, high voltage. The adapter plate is for a 68 Camaro. But when I ordered it, they sent me the wrong adapter plate. They sent me the wrong hub that you bolt a flywheel to. They sent me one for a Chevy S10 pickup truck. And I had already ordered and had balanced a flywheel, pressure plate, the whole thing set up for the car. So this whole mess here delayed me about a month because the only place that's making adapter plates for EVs now is in Canada. Canada EV is the only one doing it nowadays. Everyone, if you order one from EV West or whatever, they go to them. So I just went straight to them and ordered one. So they sent me the correct hub and stuff, and I finally got it all together. And there's the flywheel, the balanced flywheel and pressure plate. That's a competition pressure plate because you're going to put the car in second gear and leave it and drive in second gear. So I wanted to. I know when on the Golf, I noticed that over the years that the clutch is starting to slip a little bit from driving in second gear. So, and it definitely slips if you put it in third. If you try to start off in third gear, you definitely slip. So there's a whole thing together. Oh, and then like I said, the transmission's a S10 pickup. It's a Borg Warner T5. And then the guy gave me, with the transmission when I bought it, gave me one for the wrong flywheel, for the smaller flywheel, which would have been for the S10. And I needed the bigger. I had ordered, like I said, ordered the adapter plate for the Camaro and that, but I had the bell housing for the S10 pickup, so I had to buy a new bell housing. Finally got it all together and ready to put in. So here you are, kind of a temporary installing the transmission and motor in the car. As you can see, it's got a nice little flugelhorn off to the right there. That scared the hell out of Doug. Yeah, I forgot about that. If you can see up here, a few more things in the center, that little black thing in the center, that is for the cooling for the controller. And so, and then there's some more relays in there that are used for different things. Across the very top, we see on the left, those white things kind of hanging down. Those are a lot of connections that came from the charger, but also up there because the charger is connected to a CAN bus. So I had to run a CAN bus over to it. So the CAN bus goes from the master control unit in the back seat, goes along the driver's side of the car, comes through the hole there, and then it goes and connects to the charger, and then eventually to the display. So basically, so that way, when you plug the charger in, plug the car to the charging station, that sends the pilot signals to the master control unit, which in turn turns on the charger. So unlike the Golf, which is different. Let's see. Okay, so here I had to make a bracket. So I bought a what they call a cradle, and made a kind of a U-shaped bracket that would bolt to the motor mounts there. What happened the first time is when I made it, the metal was too thin, and all of a sudden I started noticing it starting to bend. So I ended up having to weld another piece of metal and make it a little thicker. So instead of like an 1/8 inch, I guess I had made like quarter steel sheet plate. So the second piece of metal I welded onto it and drilled holes and kind of filled it all in and welded it. So I haven't had any problem with that one yet. So here we are. We got the controller installed. I had a little cradle that I made a little cradle for on top of the motor, and also then you got the little U thing on the bottom for the motor mounts and stuff. So in the process of starting to connect up the wiring and things to it, and it's a big jumble of messes up there. Yeah, it's just what is kind of nice is that they gave me a build sheet that told me what the color of each wire was and where it should go. And then they also marked all the wires on that big cable up there. This big cable here, that's a 35 pin cable that goes to the controller. And from there you get signals to the throttle, and then also from all the other contactors and stuff. And then you can also have it, I have it set up for, it has regen. So I have it set, so you have the regen lines, and you have a couple, then you have the forward reverse lines that you had to run in like that. So here we are, we have it all finally connected up. What I did notice though is that the adapter plate is lower than the motor. So I'm gonna have to build a skid plate. So so that if I do run over something, that the adapter plate's not going to take the brunt of the impact. I want it to be able. So that's another little project I got to play with. And this is a little switch on the side for either max regen or minimum regen, and then in the center is no regen. So. And there we are, we're plugging it in, charging up the first time. Of course, with brand new batteries, if everyone's ever put in a brand new battery pack, they don't charge up 100% the first time. Takes you probably about half a dozen cycles before you finally get them all to where they're equalized. So I'm still in the process. I started out when I first charged it, it had about maybe 7 kilowatts. Now the battery pack is 40 kilowatts, is what shows. And the last time I charged it up, I got it all the way up to about 30 kilowatts. So I still got about 10 kilowatts left to go before it's fully charged, but it's getting there. it just takes time. One other thing I noticed too was that I had to put some shackles on the rear springs, rear leaf springs, because I kept driving the car. I kept hearing frame bouncing noise like this. Finally, it dawned on me what it was, that the frame was the leaf spring was hitting the bottom of the frame, and the shackles were only about yay big. So I had maybe an inch gap between the frame and the leaf spring. So I bought some shackles and raised the thing up and raised the whole car up like that. So I don't have that problem anymore. And then the other noise I found that was under the dash turned out to be because of the rains that we had a while back, turned out to be the windshield wiper that was where the wiper was. It was loose there, and the water would go in there, and that was also causing it to vibrate and stuff. So this is the heat.
One question. One
Pardon me?
question. Can you explain what's the process that requires you to charge multiple times to gradually increase the charge capacity? What is that, the battery effect solely?
Yeah, that's the batteries. The batteries themselves, what happens is you'll get one or two cells that will the battery. Let's see, it's programmed to go to 3.65 volts, and then shut off the cell. So what happens is, as you're bringing up the batteries, one or two cells will hit up the 3.65 quickly, and then it shuts off the charger, and then it puts a load on those cells, brings it back down, and then it turns the charger back on. And so it takes a while to do that. Sometimes you could put a separate load on those cells if there's only one or two cells, and then they'll do it again. But in my case, I had multiple cells that kept doing that, and so it's just going to take time, because what it does is you let it run overnight, and like I said, it'll turn the charger on. The cell will get up to 3.65 volts. Puts a resistor on it, load on it, and shuts off the charger, brings it back down, then just keeps doing cycling on and off all night long. So eventually they will get to 100% charge. It's just going to take a while.
So it's just battery balancing.
Yeah, it's called battery balance. I'm trying to balance the batteries. Some people top balance, some people like to bottom balance, but I prefer top balancing. So this is the air conditioner /
What's
heater.
the chemistry on your batteries?
I'm sorry.
What's the chemistry on your batteries?
Chemistry on the batteries.
I'm sorry.
Chemistry on the
Oh,
batteries.
they're lithium ion phosphates. They're the same batteries that are used. The same company that makes batteries for the Tesla in China, the Golf, ID4, ID3, and also for the Bolt. KTL, I think it's the company name.
CATL, yeah.
Yeah,
CATL.
KETL. So anyway, I figured when I found out they made batteries for other cars, I figured that'd be a good choice. So anyway, this is the heater, and as you can see on the right hand side, there are the two hoses for the water heater, and I decided not to do that anymore. So I found these two little ceramic heaters on the internet. They were like 20 bucks a piece, and I actually glued them into the box and tried it out. It actually works. So it actually, within a few minutes, you get about 138-degree temperature coming out of the front of the car. So that's really kind of cool. And I use two of them because you got two blower motors and stuff. So it heats the car up rather quickly, and I'm surprised. And I have it on the lowest setting. So it's a 1500 watt heater. And I think the low setting is 1000 watts. And then if you hook up the other one, you can get 1500 watts. So I figure 1000 watt per ceramic heaters is fine. And the other thing I got to do is next is on the left-hand side, you see the air conditioning hoses. And so that's got to be connected up later on. Let's see. Okay, so here you see the
ceramic heaters are 120 volt AC.
Yes. 115 volt heaters.
The ceramic
Yeah,
heaters?
they're 120 volt. AC or DC, doesn't matter. They don't care. They're just a resistive load.
And then
So
what's the
anyway,
battery voltage?
yeah, basically the battery pack.
144 volt battery pack.
Yeah. Well, it is when you first started, but as soon as you drive off, it drops to like about 125 or so, 130, and that's fine. So anyway, this is your charger indicator. So red is below 80%, yellow is 80%, and then green is 100% charged. This is a switch I was talking about. You pull that out and you pull it out now, and that turns on the heater, and this light here is a little red light, and that red light comes on to let me know the heater's on, because if I don't have the fan going and the heater on, I can burn out my heater. So I have to make sure I have them both going on. What I have next is I bought another switch that has two settings. It's basically a light switch, but it's a single pole dual throw switch. So on one side I can put the heater, on the other side I can put the air conditioner, and the air conditioner will turn on the contactor for the motor and also turn on the fan. So, and then what I just ordered now is a little blue light that's going to go here to tell me that the air conditioner is on. I don't know. Go figure, right?
Nice.
I mean, you can't put your hand over there and see the cold air is coming out. Yeah.
Switch the colors, so they're like faucet. Thought we don't allow.
Yeah. So anyway, and then this is the transmission. So it's a 5-speed manual. Right now I just put it in second gear without a clutch and just drive it, and it seems to be okay. And then you can see down here in the bottom is the center console for the selecting either forward or reverse, and then neutral position. Let's see what else is here. Okay. So now this is the cooling for the controller. So this is like a reservoir up here for the coolant. You have a radiator here, and then the fans on top, and then the controller has a little plate that you have hooked up, so transfer. So it has like they call it. I forgot what they call it. Anyway, there's a plate there, and then you run the coolant through it, and so that's how I cool it. Let's see. Then I started over here with all the trying to clean up my cabling and stuff. So as you can see, I went crazy with the split tubing. Actually, I have a big couple boxes of it still. I found it was cheaper to buy a big box of it than to buy a little quantity. So this is a car at my house now. And yep, and that is it. So
Real
right.
quiet. It doesn't make that loud rumble that you.
Doesn't make the loud rumble anymore. Although it has these little exhaust pipes. You got those nice little exhaust pipes there too, which is really kind of cool.
So question, why
Yeah.
why the transmission with the electric vehicle? I'm accustomed to at least commercial electric vehicles, right?
Yeah, well, yeah, I couldn't do it. I couldn't quite do a direct drive. I talked to them, people I bought the motor from. I thought I could just do a coupler, weld a coupler together, not have a clutch and flywheel and all that. But they suggested not to do that. So what I'm thinking later on though is I found out that for this particular transmission, they make a hydraulic release bearing for the car. And so I can buy a hydraulic master cylinder for the clutch and a clutch pedal and install those. And then I would be able to actually use the 5-speed manual transmission. So Jerry came over one time and we tested the car to see how it does in second gear, and because he would monitor the motor and see how many RPMs we're doing. And so it turned out that in second gear, it's like driving my Golf in third. So So I haven't gotten around to trying in first gear, see how fast I can go in first gear, because the motor will turn up to 8,000 RPM. So I'm not too
This
concerned.
transmission is a special transmission you obtain for your electric vehicle though, right? This is
No,
not
it's just a stand. It's what, I don't know if you remember the old Chevy S10 electric back in the 2000.
yeah.
Yeah, that's the same transmission. And what they did back then with the S10 is they put it in second gear and locked it, just locked it in second gear. So basically what I'm doing. So basically I have a Chevy S10 electric pickup truck, running gear type thing. So any other questions? Any questions?
So when you shift in reverse.
Yeah, you can do either. You can put the transmission in reverse and back up, or you can I just use a lever. Depends on. It depends on if it's too steep, if it's kind of a steep incline, I might put it in reverse because you have more power. Or you could put it in first gear, and then put it in reverse. But yeah, so anyway. Thank you for letting me share.
You're welcome.
Okay,
So
how
what do
do
you
I?
expect to have? Once the batteries are full state of charge, what kind of range do you expect to have?
Wants to know what kind of range you.
Currently I'm still testing the batteries, and I'm guessing from what I've experienced so far that I'd probably get about 150 miles for charge. So, which is about double what my Golf does. So,
And you said it's a
And how
10
about-
kilowatt system?
Say it again?
Did you say a 10 kilowatt battery pack?
How many
no,
kilowatts?
no, it's a 40.
40 kilowatt.
40 kilowatt.
Actually,
battery pack.
it's
Okay.
46 kilowatts, but we're only using 40.
Okay.
All right.
And then what kind of top speed do you get?
Top speed.
Well, we tried in the car. I got it up to 65 miles an hour. But then I realized later on that my throttle mapping was incorrect. So I wasn't getting the full throttle to the car, to the motor. So I've since fixed that, but then my controller blew a capacitor. And so it's out being repaired right now. But I'm sure I can get, talking to Mike Phillips, who had a bunch of S10s back in the day. He said he'd get about max speed around 70, 75 miles an hour. So I'm figuring that's probably about what I'll be at, which is fine with me.
Up to, so what is 0 to 60?
Harvey,
How fast?
how fast is it?
Zero to
0
60?
crawl. It's car. It's not Tesla. No, and then starting out in second gear, I know if I put it in first gear to start off, it kind of goes faster, then you can shift gear, but I'm not quite there yet, so I'm working on it some more.
Reliable dropout. How many gears does the transmission have?
5 to 5 speed.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So if I go ahead and put a clutch in it, then I could probably use all the gears and stuff and drive the car.
But the higher gear you go into, the less torque you have.
Yeah. Oh, and one other thing too, if you look at the picture there, you see the louvers on the hood. Yeah, they look nice, but when it rains, they also leak. So when it rained that one time, I went and looked at it, and sure enough, there was water all over my motor and stuff. And I gotta go, oh crap, that's not exactly good. So I used some what they call alien tape, which is a double stick tape. And a friend of mine helped me. We put a piece of sheet metal up there to redirect the water from the louvers to the front of the car. So that hood is very steep. And so even though the car was parked up a hill, up the driveway, the hood was actually still going down, so the rain would come in there. So now it directs all the rainwater from those louvers to the front of the car. So I'm a little happier now, but still have some issues on the side where the hood, there's no channel for that. So something, I might have to look at something like that to fix. Okay, anything else? Nope. All right, well, thank you very much for letting me brag about my little car.
So you can't get a second gear, reminds me of the song Beep Beep.
I'm trying.
They're real old song, 1958, Playmates, beep beep.
Oh,
That's right, really
The
couldn't
Road
get out of
Runner.
second gear.
Oh, the Rambler.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Rambler song. Yeah, I remember that one.